Alrighty, let's get this thing started. You're on episode 30 of The Hangover, my friends. And why are we here today? Well, first of all, why not? There's no better place to be but over here on 863 Seminole TV. What's on the docket today? What's on the agenda? Well, put it to you like this. A certain player has been reaching out to the staff. Maybe he wants to come back. We're going to talk about him. Should we bring him back? And I'm going to tell you why we should. We got a new president at Florida State University. Hopefully that means great things for the athletic program. Might touch on that a little bit. Also, first he was a pass rusher. Then he's a stand-up linebacker. Now he's back to being a pass rusher. Let me tell you something. The more I listen to this staff, the more I am convinced they don't know how to use Gainer. And it's worrying me very much so. And lastly, Cain Madden to tally was trending. And we're going to talk about a little bit of that. And what would that mean for this team going forward? Let's go.
Need a horn and a drum roll.
Never talk to them boys that sit on them benches. I never talk to them boys that sit on them benches. I was in the game on 4th inches.
Let's go to work. Right. What is going on? We're having a slow start, I see. So we're going to wait a little bit. I got this Knicks and Hawks game on. Shout out to the Knicks. Trying to tie the series up. If Julius Randle would show up, we could win. That's what it boils down to. If the man just showed up game one, we would have won that game. Nobody be talking about Trae Young, but you guys didn't come here to hear me rant on basketball today. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. And we're going to wait a little bit, see if we can get this thing started. Get more people to trickle in. As always, you can follow this on Podbean and Spotify. If you're not able to catch the show live, by all means, go on those platforms, follow the show, go rewatch other shows if you want to, whatever. But we are on Podbean and Spotify, and those will be uploaded after this goes off. We are just waiting. We're going to hit the roll call here in a minute, but I'm trying to wait. I think maybe some other people are live. So who knows? Maybe that is slowing us down. But what are we talking about today? Got a few things I want to touch on. FSU's got a new president. I don't want to waste too much time on that. It's good to see. It's good to have. Ultimately, don't know necessarily what that means for the athletic program. He's a Harvard guy. But we'll talk a little bit more about that once we get this thing really rolling. What else do we got? We got Xavier Peters has been tweeting Coach Mike Norvell. He's been saying that he wants to come back to Florida State. I asked you guys, what do you guys think? Is that a good thing? Is that a take? Should FSU entertain it? Most of the reactions were positive. Some of you guys are kind of harsh, man, and we'll touch on that too. Then you got Amari Gainer, possibly the most talented player on that defense. And this staff continues to show me, maybe I'm just being a grouch or being too hard. This staff continues to prove me that they don't know what the hell they're doing with this young man. And it's worrying me. It's worrying me. The offense doesn't worry me so much, but the more I hear about this defense, the more I am really, really worried. We'll touch on that. And then finally, Cain Madden. And I'm not going to talk about whether he's in or out. I think he set up a visit. All signs are pointing in the right direction from every major outlet. They tend to believe Cain Madden's almost a go. So I don't want to waste time speculating Cain Madden coming or not. What I do want to talk about, though, is with the addition of Cain Madden, what does that mean exactly for this team? And what does that mean possibly for some of the players on that offensive line? I'm talking to you, Donta Lucas and Bavion Johnson. So we're going to talk about that. So those are our topics for today. Let's not waste no more time. I see the count jumping. I see the numbers going up. So let's get into it. Y'all already know what we do. Roll call time. Go ahead, get in them comments. We're about to get in this roll call. The score, 27-20. The Hawks are up on my Knicks. Julius Randle's 0-for-3. Again, if Julius can't get this thing going, we're not going to win. He's the reason I say we lost game one. Didn't show up. So, yeah. Knicks having to go of it. And I will take no Knicks slander today. Let's get it started, man. Wayne Tillman, what is going on? He says, yo, what up, Pope? John Shields, what's popping? Says, hi. 226 Tim says, checking in. It's been a minute, man. Post office kicking my ass. I feel you, man. Make that money, collect them checks. Florida State Love says, what up, Pope? Jen Fari says, good evening. Zoe, we in the building. Tyler saying, what up? Saying Madden needs to pop already. And, I missed Noel Squad at the very top. He says, go Noles, hashtag keep climbing. All right, first topic. Let's go ahead and get this one out the way. FSU has a new president. FSU president-elect Richard McCullough says he's eager to learn about Seminole athletics. He is a Harvard I guess he's a Harvard grad. Harvard's McCullough, so I guess he's a Harvard grad or whatever. I haven't looked too much into him. He claims he's a huge sports fan. He currently serves as the vice provost. I don't know what that is, for research at Harvard. He also worked at university in Pittsburgh. I'm reading the War Chant article here, folks. Again, I don't know much about him. Has a PhD from Johns Hopkins. So look, the guy's qualified. Okay, we got all of that. The question coming from this is, what is he gonna do for this athletic program? Who is he gonna bring in to be the full-time athletic director and get this thing on the right path? We'll see. I'm not going to spend too much time on Mr. McCullough, but he is the new president at Florida State University. Island Boy, what's up? And Hurricane T2Y, what is up? Wayne says, I may be going Kwame Brown on a few people tonight, but I more than welcome Xavier Peters back. We are not in a position to be turning away players if they can contribute. Marvin Barnes, what is up? Let's talk about it, Wayne. Kind of waiting for more people, but we'll talk about Xavier Peters, because I don't disagree with you. First and foremost, I think if you're even going to consider bringing him back, I don't think we have a scholarship anyway. So for one, my thoughts on a walk-on is always high reward, low risk. It's never really a risk to take a walk-on because they can be let go at any moment. Doesn't take up a scholarship. I don't see what the risk is there. Marvin Barnes, Brandon B, and Dennis Wilson. Here's the thing with Xavier Peters. This is how I look at it. You have a kid who, first of all, there were some different narratives out there on him to why he left Florida State in the first place. Pick the one you want to believe, but I'll throw them out there. You had, first was a family situation where I think he had recently had a child or whatever, maybe wanted to be closer to home. He's originally from Ohio, by the way. So that was a reason that was thrown out there. Academics was another reason why he was thrown out there. And then I even read a few places that he potentially had even failed a drug test. Here's the thing with Peters. First of all, out of those three, what do I believe? Personally, I believe it's a mix of 1 and 2. I don't know anything about the drug test, so I'm not going to put that on him. But that is something that was put out there. So take that for what it's worth. I believe he probably had some situations with the family, but I more so believe academics was his primary issue at Florida State and Kentucky. Because don't forget, he left Florida State, goes to Kentucky. He doesn't stay there either. Went the JUCO route. I heard he played running back in JUCO. I don't know how true that is. I think it was academics. Anytime, I've been watching this recruiting thing for a while. Anytime a kid leaves a school, then leaves another school, sounds to me like grades were an issue with him. I don't know if that means he wasn't all the way focused. Whatever the case. This brings me to my major point. And this is directed to the people who want to shut him out, want to say, nope, we don't need kids like him. Don't bring him back. I think some of us, I'll include myself in it, I think some of us forget where we come from. I think some of us forget how we got to where we may have gotten. People take, some of y'all, including myself, the only reason you're where you're at is because someone not only took a chance on you, but they took 1, 2, or 3 chances on you. to just throw a kid away that's interested in coming back because maybe some mistakes he made as an 18-year-old straight out of high school, I think is very short-sighted, and I think it's ridiculous. It's not like the kid was a criminal. And even if he was, I mean, even regardless of what he did, unless you're talking about, a felony type, I mean, come on. Unless we're talking something seriously crazy, there's no reason why we just should be shutting him out. If he's interested in coming back and you're going to take him as a walk-on anyway, why not sit down, hear his side of the story? If you're Mike Norvell, listen to what happened. You got a guy on staff who was there, and Odell. Talk to Odell. See what exactly was going on with Xavier Peters and all that, Get a feel for the kid and then make your decision. At the end of the day, me personally, I wouldn't lose any sleep if you brought him back or if you didn't. I do think you have a chance to bring a kid. I think that's a great comeback story for a kid who was a Seminole, had some bumps in the road, wants to come back. You bring him back as a walk-on. You make him earn whatever it is he wants to earn, and that could be a great comeback story. And again, it's not a risk. It's not a. And if he doesn't get it to Zach together, let's just say he's a walk-on anyway. You cut him with no losses, no tie. There's nothing holding him there. You get at the end of the day, Norvell's in a win-win situation, in my opinion, in this situation, because it's a win-win. If he comes back and he's successful, you look good, coach. You gave a guy a chance, and he was successful on the field. Even if he comes back and he's only mediocre, hell, he's a walk-on. You still gave a guy a chance. And if he bombs out, well, guess what? You still gave a guy a chance, and you still look good. He just didn't work out. So, bring him back. But everybody in the comments who are on that, don't bring him back because he was this and he was that, stop it. I can't speak for y'all's lives, but a lot of you guys wouldn't be where you were or where you are right now if someone didn't ignore a mistake you made or give you a second and third chance. We got to stop pretending like we're so much better than everybody else. These are 18-year-old kids that make mistakes. Bring them back. And FSU's not even really in a position to be giving away talent anyway. You got a former 4-star player, former Florida State signee who wants to come play. Can put him back on that defensive end rotation. You need all the defensive ends you can get. I don't see the problem, and I don't see why you wouldn't bring him back. Other than you interview him, you talk to him, you meet him, and if things just don't feel right, then I could kind of understand that. But other than that, I say you give him a shot. But at the end of the day, let's stop casting judgment on kids that we know nothing about just because he made a mistake. Just because he was the 18-year-old with the child going on. I mean, how many of you guys could even handle that? Not a lot of people could handle 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, having a kid, managing grades, going to play D1 football. Everybody ain't able, man. Some of us take more time to mature. Some of us just needs that little extra time to get it together. Maybe that extra time he's gotten himself together. He tweeted that he's ready to come back to D1 football, which tells me his grades should be under control. I don't think he'd be putting it out there if he wasn't academically eligible. He tweeted directly at Coach Norvell. I don't know if Norvell reached out to him. I haven't heard anything, but he's interested. Again, as a former 4-star defensive end, Mike Norvell should look at that and see if he can bring him back. See what you guys are saying on the topic here. Brandon B says, bring Peters back. Maybe he's matured. Everybody isn't ready for the big stage. That's again Brandon B. Brandon B says, facts. Some of the main naysayers never even had the grades to attend FSU. So why judge him? Tyler says, nobody knows what happened with Peters. If we took him as a walk-on, then fine. If not, then I'm cool on that too. He has no leverage. Exactly. There's no bad part to it. Like I kind of said, you take him as a walk. Like I said, If we take him, great. If we don't take him, great. I'm not going to lose no sleep or jump for joy either way. I think it's overall a net positive if you just give him a shot. If you just give him a shot, then he can work his way into that defensive rotation. Maybe earn a scholarship later on. Bring back Laybourne. Better to teach and grow them as men than throw them away. Tyler says he's good on LeBourne. We have no need. What was the score of North Carolina versus Miami game last year? Ask John or Dennis Marvin. They'll let you know. Jared Marshall says everybody makes mistakes. It's unavoidable. It's life. What matters is how you bounce back. There you go. Under some circumstances, once a no, always a no. What's going on, Pat? What's up, New King? New King says, stop blocking me. Let me talk my no. No scholarship available for him, but take him as a P. Yeah, that's what I was saying. We know there's no scholarship. So again, that's even more to Mike Norvell's side. You don't have to spend, you don't have any scholarships to spend on them. That's assuming we land Madden, right? What does it hurt to give a guy? They did it last year. They did it last year with the linebacker out of Purdue named Cordell Jones. They took him as a walk-on. He ended up busting, I think he ended up failing a drug test. Never played it down for Florida State. Probably would have been good in that linebacker room, but we never got to see him because they took him as a walk-on. People even forget that he even was taken last year as a walk-on because he never played, and it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt him either way. Had he have played, it would have been a good a good story, I guess. So doesn't make sense to not give him a shot. Speaking of linebackers, we're gonna move on from Xavier. Again, I want to see him. I would like to see Xavier Peters back. I would like to see him back. I don't think there's no reason not to take him. But anyway, Montre, what's going on? Moving on from that, we're going to talk about these linebackers. One specific linebacker, and this is going to be the negative part of the show. People might not look at it the way I look at it. This has nothing to do with Gainer, by the way. We've debated whether Gainer's better at pass rushing or standing up. I think the consensus on Gainer is pass rusher. That's what everybody wants to see him do. So I think a lot of people are excited to hear that they're going to be using him. This was put out a few days ago. They're going to be using him as a primary pass rusher. I think this was put out, what's today? Wednesday. This might have been out Monday or something. It was put out very recently. May even be put out over the weekend. I think it was, I want to say 247 maybe reported it where I first heard it. They're moving him back to, or they're going to be using him in primary pass rushing situations. Great. I'm 100% cool with that. Here's my problem. You didn't know that last year when you used him in sparingly in spots, and yet he still led the team in tackles. But we know he didn't play a lot last year because you didn't know how to use him. Then you come into the season, he gets a full spring of reps, of practice, of spring scrimmages as a stand-up Mike linebacker. Only for you to say during, now going into the summer, well, we don't want to use him as a linebacker anymore. Let's put him back rushing the passer. What in the hell is this defensive staff looking at? Is it Fuller? Is it Chris Marv? I don't freaking know, but the fact that they can't find a way to use Amari Gainer baffles me so bad. It really frustrates me. And this is the one thing that holds me back from giving any predictions, which is why I said I cannot give a prediction on this team until I see how they play against Notre Dame. And I know that's a cop-out. I know that's not what people want to hear. I know that's, whatever you want to say. But the hell, I have no faith. It would not shock me if defensively, I think we have all the shot in the world to beat Notre Dame game one. I think you're going into that game with house money. They've got new offensive linemen. I think they got 2 freshmen starting on that offensive line. They're going to be putting in a new quarterback first-time starter at quarterback, I believe. They lost linebackers to NFL, offensive line to NFL. It's at home in Tallahassee on a Sunday night, Labor Day weekend. I think we're playing with house money to win that game. And it wouldn't shock me if we won the game. But as of right now, until I see that, if you made me predict that game right now, the only way I foresee us winning that game is 48-45. Something ridiculous like that, because I have no faith in this defense. They can't figure out how to use this guy. I bet you Brent Venables could figure out how to use him. Who's the defensive coordinator over there in Alabama? I bet he'll figure out how to use him. And on and hell. Yep, I'm going to say it. I bet you Manny Diaz could figure out how to use Gainer. But Adam Fuller and Chris Marv, they can't figure out how to use him. You're taking away valuable snaps, valuable practice time playing linebacker, and now all of a sudden he's back to defensive end. Or they didn't specifically say defensive end. They said they're going to use him in pass rushing or primarily to rush the passer. So I don't even know what that means. We're playing a 4-2, so I assume that's a defensive end. Unless you're saying you're going to blitz your Mike linebacker every play, which no, you're probably not going to do. Oh, tell me I'm overblowing this. Please. Somebody in the comments tell me I'm just making a big deal out of this, and this isn't a big deal, and they're just trying to put him in the best position to be successful, which I do think they're trying to do, by the way. But come on, man. Your position should be locked in, not necessarily your starters, but who's playing what should be known by now. We're in May, going into June. You got June, July, August, and then once August hits, you're talking about game planning. You're talking about getting ready for game one, putting in a game plan for Notre Dame once August hits. So essentially, you got 2 months. And he just wasted the entire spring playing a linebacker that he's not going to play, apparently. They're not doing it with any other player but Gainer. They can't figure out how to use Amari Gainer to save their life, and I don't understand it. But again, tell me, just please, somebody tell me I'm overreacting, and I'll, Brandon B says, as a whole, our linebackers are trash. Marvin Barnes says, the whole defense was bad last year. Hoping we're a lot better this year. Rose, what's in the building? What's in the building? What's up, man? It took Adam Fuller a whole season of getting blown out to use common sense. Brandon, don't call your linebackers trash. Coach Marv needs to land Marvin Jones as a commit. I don't think Marv is recruiting Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones is the end, and Marv needs to focus on recruiting linebackers. Coach JP, he'll recruit the defensive ends. I have more faith in him. Brandon says, I'm speaking facts. I'm blaming the coaching staff, though. That night going to be lit. Talking about that. I think the Notre Dame game will be electric. We have a good chance, but these dumb coaches need to figure it out. No Blooded says agreed. Greg Bass, what's going on? Our DC is sad. A freaking high school coordinator can figure out how to use him. Fuller got to go. We ain't Charles Kelly. I don't think it's Kelly might be on the staff, but he's probably not the defensive coordinator, but he's probably on that staff. Gainer has plenty coming from Tyler. Gainer has plenty of experience rushing the passer, so it's not a big jump or anything. It's not necessarily for me about his experience. So you're not wrong when you say he has plenty of experience rushing the passer. The thing is, he spent the entire what was spring 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever. He spent 4, 5, 6 weeks playing stand-up backer, not honing any pass rushing skills. So whatever pass rushing skills he may or may not have, he hasn't honed them. He hasn't worked on his moves. He was mindset was a different mindset from playing linebacker and kind of seeing the field to now one focus of kind of get to the passer, maybe setting the edge, Again, this isn't necessarily even about Gainer. I don't have a problem with Gainer. I know Gainer's talents. I agree. I think Gainer is going to make that transition seamlessly. It speaks more to the coaching to me, right? It speaks like we've talked about this coaching, and it seems like they're making all these baffling decisions at linebacker. We don't see enough of Jaleel McCray. DJ Lundy, for whatever reason, is one of the primary backers in the rotation, yet everybody pretty much agrees Lundy is not a college linebacker. Too slow, too stiff. Gainer, they don't know if he's a backer or defensive end. We don't get to see guys like Deloach, McCluster. It's like, damn, they're making all the problems on the defense seem to be made at that linebacker position. What linebackers do we have that can contribute this upcoming season? We just talked about, we'll just listen some names. McCray. I don't know if Emmett Rice is going to be back or not. But we got McCray, obviously Steven Dix. I mean, with Gainer maybe not being your linebacker anymore, maybe your two backers are McCray and Dix, Lundy, Deloach, McCluster. I don't know if Jordan Eubanks is going to be in that rotation or not. Let's hope not. But Eubanks. Maybe Shaheem Brown. I still don't know how they're going to necessarily use him. Is he a DB or a linebacker? That's your linebackers, boy. That's all I got for positivity on that. POLK, the season won't be no different on defense because of Fuller. And if that's the case, that's a problem. You can't expect this. Even if I think this offense is going to be pretty damn good, you can't expect them to score 40 points a game. You got to stop somebody, man. Rose said, Panama, talking to Rose, says the only one I can think of is Rice, but he's got hurt in the spring. Just refer to Shannon for any questions you got regarding linebackers. Say what you want about him, but I think I've been saying Randy Shannon should end up coaching these linebackers anyway. I believe that. Just Chris Marr, man. The evidence just keeps continuing to point to the fact that I don't know if this guy's cut out for this job, man. He ain't recruiting, and then we got these questionable decisions on defense between him and Adam Fuller. It's like, bro, who's really calling the shots here? Who's making these decisions? Now, this might sound like I'm mad that they're moving Gainer, and I'm not mad that they're moving Gainer, maybe the defensive end. Or again, it didn't specifically say defensive end. It said primarily pass rusher. So I'm interested to see what they do with that. Do they put his hand in the dirt? Do they just blitz him a lot? I don't know. That's the question that I think is out there. Maybe you use Gainer as an extra blitzer. And playing a 4-2-5, maybe you use that nickel as depending on who's playing that nickel, right? Maybe you kind of use him as a linebacker, so you bring him down in the box. Well, I don't know. It's not about Gainer. I think Gainer is going to be fine. I think Gainer's going to be fine whether you stand him up, whether he rushes the passer. I think he's that versatile. I think he's that talented. But you can't keep changing his position every offseason and expect him to progress. Expect him to continue to get better. I mean, this is a money year for Amari Gainer. He may or may not go pro after this year. Put him in a position and let him. I talk about this all the time. Let him specialize. Let him become elite at something. Because right now, I think if you were to ask an NFL scout right now, if I was an NFL scout, I'd say talented athlete, but what does he do great? Maybe a guy I'll take in the 5th or 6th round. That'd be a steal because he's an athlete. But what does he do great? They say he rushes the passer well, but Florida State didn't use him like that. He's playing linebacker for the first time as a stand-up guy, but then Florida State switched him out after the spring. Like, come on. Let this guy get some solid film so an NFL team could evaluate him. I would think that Marv would want to keep Gainer at linebacker, but still Marv hasn't done much of anything. And so I don't disagree with that, Tyler. Like, I feel like Gainer, the depth is kind of needed at linebacker, especially with Rice potentially not playing this season. Still haven't heard much on Emmett Rice, but they saying he tore his ACL in the spring. So a lot of people don't really expect him to play much at all this season. And if you got no Emmett Rice, you would expect Gainer would kind of want to be featured in that linebacking core. But again, they don't know what to do with them, man. They don't know what to do with them. And it frustrates me. As you can tell, it just frustrates me. Again, this is the negative part of the show. And I don't want to be too negative. Again, someone tell me I'm just overreacting and that it's all fine and they were just teaching them some versatility. So if they need to use them at linebacker, like I kind of get some of it. There's some logic behind what they did. If another linebacker goes down, I get it. You want to have Gainer be able to play that position if need be. So I understand it. But to me, it seems like he's the only player that they do this with. Now, that does speak to his versatility, as we talked about. But, man, I just feel like he's criminally misused, and especially last year. At some point, you just want to see Gainer being told, hey, take the reins off, don't even think, just go out there on instincts and play. And that's really the key to it where I'm at. Especially when you're talking about defensive players, man. When you have to think too much as a defensive player, you're always going to be too late. The defense is always at a disadvantage on every single play anyway, because unlike the offense that knows what they're doing, the defense always has to react. Well, your reaction time's even slower when you got to think before you react instead of just playing on instincts and playing off what you see. So that's where I'm at with that. That's kind of my rant for the week. I feel like I haven't had one of those good old rants in a long time. So that kind of felt good. Haven't had a reason to rant recently. So that one felt good. Montre says Peyton can play linebacker. Peyton got to put some weight on. I don't know if he can play linebacker right now. I just hope they didn't do this so they can drop him into coverage. Could it possibly have been Gainer's choice? If it was Gainer's choice, and it might be, right? Maybe it is Gainer's choice. It's hard for me to believe that Gainer came into the spring saying, I want to be a linebacker. And then after spring said, you know what? Nah, I want to go back to defensive end. Like, maybe it is and maybe it's not the player's choice. That's why you have a whole defensive coordinator and a position coach. Come on now. Make a decision. Panama says he's a little bit too undersized to play linebacker. Fuller won't last whole season. There's a reason for the Shannon hire. I still don't believe Randy Shannon should be FSU's defensive coordinator. You can say what you want on that. I'll even go a step further that I believe Fuller will be there the entire season. And then they may look to replace him after the season. I don't think it's a good sign if Adam Fuller's getting fired mid-season. That tells me the defense has been horrendous. And, yeah. There you go. What up, Cain, Zay? That is, wonder if the Noles defense can hold the Canes to under 50. I don't even know why I read that comment. I got to start reading these comments before I read them because people say dumb stuff in the comment section. We need to use a couple of those 2022 scholarships to get a couple linebackers in the portal. I don't think we need to do that. So I will disagree with you there. I think you want to hold on to as many 2022 scholarships as you can because I still believe that 2022 class has a chance to completely – that's going to be the class that either leads to Mike Norvell's success or failure ultimately as the coach at Florida State. This class is really loaded. especially at defensive end. There's a bunch of talented, just in the state of Florida, there's some dynamic DNs. You look at the way they're, recruiting off on the offensive line. They're expecting to sign 5, maybe 6 old linemen. I think you want all the scholarships you need because think about it. You're taking 2 quarterbacks, probably 2 running backs, 1 for sure. I feel like they're going to take 2 running backs. Don't know how many wide receivers, maybe 1 or 2. They already got 1 wide receiver. Maybe 2 or 3 wide receivers. 5 or 6 offensive linemen. Probably 3 defensive ends. They need to take about 2 or 3 linebackers. Oh, and we ain't even touched on defensive tackle where they really need 2 or 3 or 4 of those. Come on. I don't think you need to take any scholarships from 2022 because, quite frankly, you need all of those scholarships. What's the score looking like? New York is not playing well. Julius Randle is 0 for 6. Well, if you want to know why the Knicks are losing, Julius Randle's our best player, guy who's killed it all season, is 0 for 6 with 2 points. And RJ Barrett is 3 for 10. So, bad business for my New York Knicks. Shout out to Alex Atkins, best hire on this staff. Easily best hire on this staff. Easily. I've been saying this forever. Gainer reminds me of Brian Bird. I don't know why you try to play a guy like that at linebacker. We missing on inside linebackers like Taggart was missing on quarterbacks. Missing on backers and defensive tackles, Panama. We struck gold on the dude out of Charlotte. We surely did. Well, since we talked about Alex Atkins, here we go. Segue into the final topic of today. And that's Mr. Cain Madden. Cain Madden to tally. All-American guard at a Marshall. Second team All-American to be specific. That's a huge pickup in the portal if FSU lands this. He has scheduled a visit to Florida State from what I heard, and I believe he's even been crystal balled to Florida State by some of the 247 guys. So all the signs on Cain Madden pointing in the right direction. I'm not here to say whether he's going to be here or not. If you ask me now, I think we're going to get him. He needs to pop already because the suspense is killing me. But I guess he's going to take that visit first. And I'm assuming that visit won't be until June because that's when the dead period ends. And I'm assuming as a transfer, you kind of have the same rules as a recruit. I'm assuming. Don't know for sure, but I'm going to assume he can take a visit after June. That's how that's going to work. They even think there was a report today that he's bringing his family on that visit. So if he's bringing the fam, it could be a one-stop shop right there. He hits the visit with fam, pops on the spot. We've got an All-American at guard. This isn't as much to do about necessarily him because I think we kind of understand that the player that we're getting, it's not every day you can add an All-American in the portal, okay? So you're getting an All-American guard, second team. That's a huge upgrade. What I really want to talk about is what does that mean for the rest of the offensive line and what does this mean for the offensive whole? I want to start with the offensive line because if you add Cain Madden, in a perfect situation, your interior of that line would look like Gibbons at center, Love Taylor at one guard, Cain Madden at the other guard. I think we're still going to do Love Taylor at tackle because I don't know. I think they might try to rush. Rush is the wrong word. They might try to fast track Rod Orr, but I don't think they're going to rush him out there until he's ready. You could have a situation where, remember, Rod Johnson and first Cam Irvin started off at tackle. Once Rod Johnson was ready, they pushed Cam Irvin inside the center, and Rod Johnson was your left tackle for the next 3 years. It could be a situation like that with Rod Orr, but he's going to have to get ready. So you might not get that. Rod Orr, maybe by game 4 or 5, he's ready to make that move. I think, assuming we land Madden, the question becomes, I'm going to assume Madden plays left guard, Love Taylor, Madden, Gibbons, Robert Scott at right tackle. The question's going to be who's playing that other guard spot. I don't see Gibbons playing guard. I know. I think he's your center. Yeah, I don't see Gibbons playing guard. Let me put it to you like this, and why it doesn't make sense for Gibbons to play guard if you land Cain Madden. It doesn't make sense because who's going to play center? Maurice Smith? All 6'2", 270 pounds of Maurice Smith, and you're really going to put a guy like Dante Lucas on the bench, right? I don't see that. That's why I think Maurice Smith needs more development. But that doesn't mean he's not a good player, but he needs more development. Bavion at center kind of makes sense. I think Bavion plays his best ball at guard, though he false starts increase for whatever reason. But Bavion, to me, played all in all last year. I thought Bavion had his best season at Florida State. Just the false starts killed him. But he looked a lot better at guard to me than he ever looked at center. I could understand putting Bavion at center because unfortunately, you got a guy that came back for a 5th year. Either way, Bavion is going to be in for a competition. Because you still got Dante Lucas, you still got Bavion Johnson. I think Darius Washington is going to hold down. I think that's probably the first guy you would bring off the bench. I don't think you need to rush Darius Washington into a starting spot right now. I think that's a guy you can bring off the bench. So I don't think Washington at guard or tackle. I think he's versatile enough that wherever you need him, you can put him, but he should be the first guy off the bench. My question is, who's going to play this other guard spot? Because I think Gibbons probably translates better to center. Do you play Bavion or Lucas at the other guard spot? And let's say Bavion wins the job. Does Lucas look the transfer? We all know FSU's relationship with Dante Lucas has been so up and down. At one point, he had deleted everything about Florida State off of his Twitter handle. He was all but out the door, reports were being. Apparently had a meeting with Norvell and Atkins. Whatever the issue was resolved. And he's been all in ever since. But this is a guy, and Dante Lucas, who he's going to be a sophomore technically this year because last year didn't count for eligibility. But this is a guy who's started 3 years at Florida State since he was a true freshman. All of a sudden, not start. Bavion's going to come in. And Bavion's 5th year, he's not looking to sit the bench either. So that's kind of my question when you talk about this offensive line. If you land Cain Madden, now if you don't land Cain Madden, then this is a moot point because then your starting line is going to be what we kind of think it is. Then a little bit more questions there in terms of where would you put Gibbons? Do you put Gibbons at guard or center? But it's obviously Love Taylor, probably Bavion, Gibbons, Lucas, and then Robert Scott in whatever order you kind of want to put that middle of the offensive line. I think guys can kind of go wherever. But if you land Cain Madden, then that kind of murkies the waters for some of these other guys. And I think it's a question to have when you start talking about transfer portals. There's rumors of no names have dropped, but there's rumors that the portal isn't done in terms of Florida State losing maybe a few more guys. Who these guys are, I don't know. I have to think that if you land Cain, first of all, shout out to the staff for sending a message to that offensive line. They haven't hit anything. They ain't pulling no punches. They are out there. Even the players are tweeting Cain Madden, come to Tallahassee, all this stuff. If you're a guy on that offensive line, you got to be saying, man, we got to step our game up. You know, we got to step our game up. So no feelings. Nobody gives a damn about your feelings on that offensive line at all. But I think if you land Cain Madden, you could see a transfer out of there. You could see somebody. I mean, you got a Brady Scott, who I think would be a great second team guy to have. We already know Chaz Neal transferred out. Thank the heavens. No love lost there. Wish him all the best in the future, but that's not a loss. Okay. I think you could potentially see another guy on that offensive line if you land Cain Madden, because Cain Madden's coming in to play All-American. He's coming in to take your job right now. Right now. Gibbons, I believe, has 2 years of eligibility, potentially. He's coming in to take your job right now. Nobody's taking DLT's minutes. There ain't another tackle on the roster that can take Scott's minutes. The rest of y'all are fighting for one spot. Good luck. Good luck. Miami Flow in the building. What's going on? He says, what's good, brother? Just stopping by supporting. You killing it. Keep it up. Hey, I do my best, man. Appreciate the support. What about Zhang Heron? What about him, Rose? Are you talking about transferring, or are you talking about him potentially like in the rotation? Zhang Heron, I think Thomas Schrader's hurt for the year, but that's another guy. Estes, those are great second team options. Again, those guys bring that great depth with landing Cain Madden and Gibbons. Now your depth is so much better that even if a guy gets hurt, you're not too scared. Okay. Who we don't want to see is the Ira Henrys and the Jalen Gosses of the world. That's who we don't want to see. But I like Zhang Heron. I like Schrader, even though he's hurt. I'm still big on Lloyd Willis. I think he might be another year or two away, but I saw a lot of tools from Lloyd Willis that I like. Montre says, damn you. I don't know who he's talking to. I got faith Atkins will pick the best line. I'm not worried about somebody not being a starter or transferring. Obviously, they weren't good enough to start. Land Cain and somebody definitely leaving. That's what I think too, Tay. I think if you land Cain, I don't know if it's Lucas or Bavion trying to get that last year, tries to go somewhere else. I think if you land Cain, I think somebody will get the hint on that offensive line, potentially be out. I was just thinking about Zane too. Is he healthy? I think Zane Herring is healthy. I think Schrader's the one that broke his leg or something like that. I think Herring's good for the season though, as of right now. FAMU needed Chaz Neal so we can use his scholarship. Ira Henry needs to go. A best FSU page, but vibing with FSU. What up, Kane Zay? Polk, what do you think about Quayshawn Sapp coming in starting next year? He looks physically ready to play. Think he will commit? All the crystal balls are saying Quayshawn Sapp will be a Seminole. He's a big kid. I think they list him at like 6'5", 6'6", 350. I think he needs to lose. I think a lot of that is some bad weight. From when I look at him, his body, I think he got some baby fat on him. Tone him up. I don't know if he'll be ready to play next year. Maybe. He's going to be at these camps. I think he's scheduled unofficial and an official visit in June. So he'll be at Florida State plenty in the month of June. I like Quayshawn Sapp. I think his body might need a little bit of toning, though. Zane is in the rotation. I hope Orr balls out and we can slide DLT. That's another thing. If we can slide DLT inside, then either Lucas or Bavion are starting. If Orr can come in the fall and maybe show that he's further along than they think, or if you're able to move Orr to tackle by game 4 or 5, because whoever's at that other guard spot just ain't cutting it. I mean, man, Bavion or Lucas, a lot of stuff is not working in their favor unless they show up and really solidify that they are, you know what I'm saying? And neither one of those guys, even Dante Lucas, and I'm not here to bash on Dante Lucas, but if we're being honest, he's been a default starter on this offensive line since a freshman because we've had no other options, if we're being honest. He was a highly touted kid coming out of high school, but that he has been extremely hit or miss his entire time at Florida State. Has some good plays, has a ton of boneheaded plays. Okay, Dante Lucas doesn't come out here and play football, and they're able to move Love Taylor inside, man. Him and Baby Young gonna be sitting on the bench. It's gonna be a great look for that second unit. But again, one of these guys gonna potentially leave because of the addition of Cain Madden. I'd throw a party if Goss left. Get that O-line right because Toafili is ready. Tyler Head and DLT is average to above average at tackle. I'd keep him there. Only until we get a guy who can take a spot. I was surprised to see that Love Taylor actually graded out in the top 50 of offensive guards in college football last year. It shocked me to see it. He's very versatile. He can play tackle. The only reason we have Love Taylor there at tackle is because, quite frankly, I think Taylor's better than Darius Washington at tackle. And again, I think your true left tackles, your Lloyd Willises and Rod Orrs might not be ready game one. That's the issue. But once you get a guy that's ready to take that tackle spot, hey, I move Love Taylor inside where he's a top 50 player. I mean, you're talking about 40-something D1 schools, 2 guards on every team, and he was able to make the top 50. I mean, that's a bigger accomplishment than I think we realize. I honestly believe that. And Brandon B says Toafili is about to eat. So that brings us to the next part of the conversation. We talked about potential players leaving. But now, if you get Madden, what exactly does that mean for this offense? And I wish my man Dan Squatch was here, because he knows what I'm about to talk about. I think, and I talked about this 2 weeks ago, I said I think Florida State is really looking – I'm not saying they're content with their offensive tackles, but to me, I said this right after the Gibbons get, I said we got Gibbons and we were rumored to be going after the Buffalo kid. I think he ended up going to Baylor. Now we got Cain Madden on the hotline waiting to commit. They are really looking to upgrade the interior of the offensive line. That has been their play for the last, I guess I would say, the entire offseason. Offensive tackle enters the portal. They don't seem to really go after him. As soon as a guard was hitting the portal, it seemed like they really are really going hard at some of these offensive guards. I think that goes to the power run game. I think their plan is to make the interior of that offensive line strong, and they're going to try to run directly at teams. Toafili's going to eat. Jayshon Corbin is going to eat. And a guy that nobody's talking about, because Trayshawn Ward kind of stole the spring spotlight and well-deserved. But the guy that nobody's talking about, who I think is just brings a whole different dynamic to that backfield, is that DJ Williams. That dude is a load. That dude, I don't want to call him Greg Jones, but you might have a player like that he's just going to, if you're talking about power run game, if you're talking about wearing down a team, wearing down a defense in the fourth quarter, soften the defense up so you can hit them over the top, DJ Williams may be your guy going forward. The entire run game is going to eat if they solidify the interior of that offensive line, man. And that's just real talk. Are tackles important? Yeah, but we're making too much of a big deal about the tackles. Guess what, guys? They're going to block. The worst thing you can have is the interior of your offensive line collapsing. That gives your quarterback zero time to do anything. But if that interior of that offensive line can hold its own, I have little worry of my tackles. We'll be fine on the edge. Because guess what? Even if you can step up in the pocket That's why they tell you to step up in the pocket as a quarterback. You got the pocket forms. Maybe your tackles start collapsing. Guess what? You step up in the pocket, make the throw. You can't do that if the pocket's collapsing on you. I like what offensively, I believe this team is going to make waves this year. Offensively, I am very excited for this team. It's the defense, and we talked about it earlier with the Gainer stuff. It's the defense that scares me. But offensively, I don't really have many worries, man. I don't have many worries. Panama says, you get Madden and the inside running game will be a beast between Philly and DJ. Tonio with the fire emojis. No Squad says, who is our home run hitter in the running back room? Probably Philly. I don't know if we really have a home run hitter. People want Wren to be that guy. I think it's going to be another year before you see any real carries out of Corey Wren. But people kind of want Corey Wren to be, because we all like that straight line speed that Corey Wren has. But if you ask me right now, probably Philly's probably your one guy that I think just has breakaway ability. Tonio says third quarter. Rose says hit the like button. I like Corbin, but I think Corbin's going to be your versatile back, though. Corbin's going to be the guy that they get the ball to in the flats. Mackenzie Milton's going to be looking to check down that Corbin. They're going to use him in the pass game. They're going to use him to run. I think I said this last year, and I'm even more confident in this year. It would not surprise me if Ja'Shawn Corbin had over 1,000 yards of total offense, talking about receiving and running. Would not surprise me. I think I said it last year, before that year happened, but I'll even go back to this year. Both Milton and Travis are good enough with their legs to avoid pressure and get the ball off. We should be good for one more year without a good tackle. Both Corbin and DJ can really wear down a defense. Yes, they can. So I just think, I think Madden does wonders if you can get them. And I think we're going to get them. And that's not even speaking of that second unit, man. Now all of a sudden your second unit, everybody made such a huge – what did I tell you guys? What did I tell you guys about the spring game? You can go check it right after we watched it. I sat here and said that I'm not going to make a big deal about the spring game because what you just saw is not the same team you're going to see come the fall. Those were my exact words. I said the spring game's not going to mean anything. It's going to be fun for us to see and speculate. We all love the game, so just seeing Florida State on the field was great. But what did I say after that game? I said that game means nothing because that team that you saw, is not going to be the team that you're going to see in the fall. All those second-string offensive linemen, you're not going to see not one of them this year in the game. You're not going to see them, especially if you get Cain Madden, folks, you're definitely not going to see Jalen Goss, Ira Henry, that walk-on center we had in that sprint. You're not going to see any Estes. They don't have to rush Estes. You're not going to see any of these guys. Now your second team starting unit, listen to this. Listen to how this sounds. Your second team starting unit is now Darius Washington. Donta Lucas potentially, or Bavion, maybe both. Maurice Smith. Hell, who am I forgetting? Brady Scott. That second team unit all of a sudden is leagues better than what we saw in the spring game. But I knew that. I told you guys that. It ain't about being right or wrong, but I told you guys, I said, we were missing a lot of guys due to injury in that spring game anyway, which is why they cut the game down and made a little bit of a fiasco of it at the end. I said, but man, you let people gas you up and talk trash and say, that Florida State team looks small. They look soft. That team wasn't the team that you're going to see in the fall. And I stand by that, especially on that offensive line. Everybody want to talk about the size of that offensive line. everybody on that offensive line starting in the fall will be over 300 pounds. Period. It's going to be a legit college D1 offensive line. It's just now. Did I think they would add 2 inside? I thought maybe they would look for a tackle, but I'm not mad at at least Coach Atkins offensively. You got a vision, you go for it. I can respect that. You know what I'm saying? Defensively, there's no vision with Gainer. Obviously, there's no vision with Gainer. They're just throwing darts at the board and hoping one gets a bullseye. Panama says Philly needs to beef up in the weight room, gain about 15 of muscle, and we talking about first round talent. Cain say the strength of the team is running back. Antonio says, yes, you did. What up, Peter? I think it's good because maybe that's the reason why we struggled so much. This is from Antonio, by the way. He says, I think it's good because maybe the reason why we struggled so much in the second half, if we can just overpower a defense, don't need a script, knowing run is coming, but you can't stop it. Anytime you can run the football. And one of the legit criticisms from last year, and there are a ton, but in talking about the running game, one of the legit criticisms of last year is the fact that Jordan Travis was a huge part of the running game. And it was his ability to kind of improvise and running the read option. And when teams could kind of key in on those things, FSU wasn't as successful in running the ball. Well, like you just said, if you can line up and my guy can put a hat on your guy and just beat you off the ball, you don't need no gimmicks. Line up, hat on a hat, and run the ball down their throat. That's going to open up the entire offense. That opens up the play action, opens up everything. Robert Scott, too. On the plus side, the pass rush could be dramatically improved next year. And Brandon Brazier says, do you think we land Cain Madden? Yeah, we've been talking about Cain Madden for the last 20 minutes. I think we get him. From everything I'm hearing, I'm no inside guy. I just talk about what happens and give my takes. From what I'm reading, I think he's been crystal balled. He's bringing the family to the Florida State for the visit. All those signs point, thumbs up. All those signs point thumbs up. If we get him, I agree with you. It's huge. Literally and figuratively, it's huge. He changes potentially the dynamic of the entire offensive line. We're now 2, damn near 3 deep. Remember, I just gave you a second team 5. Those names didn't include the Lloyd Willises and the Thomas Schraders or the Brian Estes of the world. So you land Cain, and now all of a sudden you're damn near 3 deep at some positions. Schrader's hurt, but he would be on that third team as well. Like legit. It becomes legit once you land Cain Madden. The secondary should get a lot of INTs and pick sixes as long as we have a good pass rush. Let's talk about the pass rush. That wasn't on the docket, but I pretty much finished all my points. We still obviously got plenty of time. Sir 5 in the building was up. Pass rush is going to start with Jermaine Johnson. I think we all know that. He's the difference maker on that defensive end, on the defensive line. I think he's a potential first-round type player. Jermaine Johnson reminds me of, dare I say it, but those Miami defensive ends that they just lost. Not so much Rousseau, but Jalen Phillips and guys like that. Jermaine Johnson reminds me of that when I watch him. The problem is going to be, what can we get opposite of him? If we can get anything opposite of him, we're in the money. Now, is it possible that he can be that good that he's just a one-man wrecking crew? It's possible. I would prefer to have something on the opposite side of him that can, if you got a double team, or give me somebody on the inside who can make some moves. Like Brandon Brazier's talking about Keir Thomas. That's a guy who I think should be primarily more defensive tackle. I don't like him at defensive end. He's not built as a defensive end. He's built like an undersized D tackle, which can be great. If you put Keir Thomas next to Robert Cooper and Keir Thomas can just beat his man one-on-one, you have something there. Keir Thomas is a guy who I believe had 5 sacks as a defensive tackle. But when I watched the South Carolina tape, they moved him. But I think I have to go back and watch. I think South Carolina played 3-4. So he's listed as a DN, but if you know how the 3-4 works, your DNs are, 5 techniques. They're tackles. Anyway, I think Keir Thomas can make a big impact. I just not at defensive end, but I think with Keir Thomas, Robert Cooper, Fabian Lovett, who I think might be in for a hell of a year, Dennis Briggs, you're at least 4 deep at defensive tackle. If you can get something out of true freshman Joshua Farmer, great. If you can get something out of True Thompson, even better. That brings you to 6 deep. Okay? It's really that other defensive end. Is McClendon going to take the next step? And can Quayshawn Fuller take a step? What about Byron Turner, true freshman coming in? What about Patrick Payton, George Wilson? Who's going to take the reins at that other spot, that defensive end? Or does Xavier Peters come in and have a comeback story for the ages? I would love to see it. It's one of the reasons why I think Florida State should really consider looking into Xavier Peters. And if he wants to come back, they should give him a shot. What if he can come back and be opposite of Jermaine Johnson? That's dynamic. That's big time. That has the potential to be, right? Has the potential to be big time. How do you think Madden opens up the pass? I think with the really solid run game, it makes the pass much more lethal for a home run. Well, I talked about that. Yeah. Again, if the middle of the offensive line can collapse on the quarterback with or without good tackles, it's irrelevant, right? So even if your tackles are whatever they are, let's say our both tackles are mediocre at best. I think Robert Scott's pretty good. Love Taylor is adequate. We all know his strength is more at guard, but I think Love Taylor holds the spot. So let's just say medium at best at the tackles. But if your quarterback can step up in the pocket and your inside is completely pushed everything out the way, you're still good. That's how he opens up the pass. As long as the inside doesn't collapse on the quarterback's good. That's how I think he opens up the pass. And yeah, I talked about it. A dominant power run game is going to open up the pass anyway. That play action can be a killer. Half football team follow Madden on Twitter. LOL. Yeah, they are. Half of the team is, everybody's following them. What type of impact do you think here? I read that one already. We also need the middle of that D-line to make some noise, too. It would make everybody's jobs easier. Was just about to say Byron Turner. I think Byron Turner, out of all the freshmen, might be the one freshman we see on the field instantly. What's up, Priscilla? Good night, John. Thank you for coming. It boils down to Fuller calling plays to get Keir Thomas and the other guys involved. He needs to attack instead of playing, reading, and reacting defense. I think Gainer could be great at the other DN. I forgot about Gainer, because by the way, yeah. My only question with Gainer as a full-time hand in the dirt DN is he strong enough? I'd have to see it. Is Gainer strong enough to hold his point against a legit tackle? To where in the run game is Gainer going to be a complete liability in the run game because he can just get blown off the ball? Sort of like if you remember a guy former Clemson player by the name of Vic Beasley. That was his problem as a full-time defensive end. He was a great pass rusher. Don't get me wrong. But the guy was too small, and if a real true tackle got his hands on him, it was a wrap. My question is, can Gainer hold his own? Is he strong enough? That'd be my only question. But I would love to see it. It's just bad that ever been saying that. It's just bad that ever been saying that for over a year now. I think you're talking about the Gainer stuff, Tyler. That kind of throws me. It's just bad that ever been. Yeah, it's probably a typo. Oni says our D tackles are terrible and the lack of depth is scary. The lack of depth is scary. I don't think our D tackles are terrible, though. I don't think Robert Cooper's terrible, and I don't think Fabian Lovett are terrible. I don't think it's terrible at all. I think our lack of depth is scary. I think Briggs is good. I think Keir Thomas adds some depth, and then that's it. After that, though, after those first four, like I said, if you can get something from some of these other guys, great. The depth at defensive tackle scares the hell out of me. We ain't recruited none in 3 years. Go check that episode out if you didn't watch that one. We ain't recruited a defensive tackle in 3-4 years. So yeah, the depth sucks. I do think the guys that we have, especially the top two guys, the top two guys are going to play in the NFL. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not going to tell you what round. The top two guys, Coop and Fabian, will be in the NFL. I can guarantee that. Outside of that, though, there's nothing. We'll see. No Squad says a lot of that criticism against Fuller comes from players like Durden who just didn't care. The criticism from Fuller comes from people like me who watch the product on the field. I don't care or give a damn what Corey Durden has to say. I watch it. That's where the criticism comes from. It's just bad that we've been. Oh, okay. Appreciate that, Tyler. I was like, it's just bad that ever been. We just bad that we've been saying, yeah, the Gainer needs to play defensive end. Gainer is fine at Mike. You can always blitz him. Well, apparently they don't see him as a Mike anymore, but we'll see. We'll see what they do with that, No Squad. But they're talking about moving Gainer back to primary pass rusher. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with Gainer. That's the problem I have with Adam Fuller in this. That's the problem. I think Gainer would be fine at linebacker. I think Gainer would be fine, damn it, wherever you put him. I think he's that talented. I've done nothing but say that for the last 2 years. Put him somewhere, though. Put him somewhere. Malcolm Ray. I would love to see something out of Malcolm Ray. My problem with Malcolm Ray is he had a good spring game, but it's against that offensive line that we just talked about. That walk-ons. What, 4 or 5 of those players that you saw on that offensive line won't see a snap this year unless we're blowing a team out by 40. You will not see Goss, Ira Henry. Probably won't see Estes, but that's not a negative on Estes. He's just a true freshman who was thrown out there. And that, I keep forgetting that walk-on center's name, but that guy, don't even know his name. You won't see any. That's what Malcolm Ray was whooping in the spring game. He should be whooping them in the spring game. That unit. You won't see that unit come to fall. How do you feel about them backers? I'll touch on that in a minute, Antonio. What up, Sergeant AR? Y'all looking to ship Julio, man. I saw y'all looking to get rid of Julio. How you feel about that? No Squad says, wait, what? Yeah. If you mean maybe you missed that point, but they came out Monday. Plans to move Gainer back to rushing the passer. So you missed that whole rant, No Squad. You should probably rewind this and go back and watch that. It's pretty good stuff. It's like QBs, pick one and stick with it. Come Notre Dame, we better not be starting him at. That's what did that? What would that tell you, Tyler? Spring, he's a linebacker. Summer, well, we're gonna put him. We're gonna move him. We're gonna move him back to defensive end. Then come the fall, we'll put him back at linebacker. What? Like, it wouldn't shock me though. It wouldn't shock me. Is Fuller talking about moving Gainer to stud? Then, no. They said pass rusher. They didn't even put a position on it. I'm assuming defensive end, but when you say you're going to use, they said the direct quote was the plans are to move Gainer, or the plans are to use Gainer as a primary pass rusher. So it doesn't say they're even going to move him defensive end. I'm just trying to use some logic. You don't need to blitz your blind. If you're using him primarily as a pass rusher, it tells me that he's not going to be playing Mike for the entire, you don't blitz your Mike every single play. Like, come on. So I think that means they're going to put him back on the outside. Julio's gone. We get $15 million for him. Is Emmett Rice gone? Is a go? As of right now, I don't think Emmett Rice is a go. As of right now, I don't think Emmett Rice is a go. The Knicks are only down by 6. Come on, New York. Randall still sucking the place up. RJ Barrett's kind of got it. If it wasn't for Derrick, man, shout out to Derrick Rose keeping us in this game. Shout out to Derrick Rose. 22 points for the old former MVP. Randall has been a no-show. Sorry about that. I had to check up on the game. The Falcons are a joke. They're my team, but I just laugh when they do some dumb S or lose a big lead. They get rid of Julio. I'm sure there's a reason, but I thought when they drafted Pitts, I didn't think it made sense to get rid of Julio. That's why I don't understand what the Falcons are doing either, Tyler, to be honest. I thought when you drafted Pitts, you were in win now mode. Because that was one of the few teams that I thought Pitts would live up to all that hype. I thought it would be at Atlanta because you're talking about a team with Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones. I mean, Pitts, he's a third option. If you get rid of Julio, what do you get in return? Now you're telling me Pitts is going to be the primary option so NFL teams can key in on Kyle Pitts? Yeah, good luck with that. So who are the starting backers game 1 if Gainer goes back to DN and Rice can't go? Dix. If it was me, I'd go with Dix and McCray and see how they play together. I don't want to see DJ Lundy out there. And maybe they take a walk on. The transfer portal's not done. Maybe there's a walk on that comes on in the fall. It's possible. But as of right now, I guess it would be Dix and McCray. If Gainer's if Rice is a no-go and Gainer's moving positions. Again, Kawhi Leonard needs to bring his talent to South Beach. No. Y'all got Victor Oladipo, right? Maybe that might be you guys' that's your guy right there. Only I agree with you. Odell should be on the hot seat for not bringing guys in. Absolutely. Falcons are trying to play money ball in football. Julio said he wanted to leave in March. That's why Pitts was drafted. Man, but that pick doesn't make sense then. Sorry, it just doesn't. Atlanta's old. Julio's not young. So even if he is a Hall of Fame talent, you're talking about a 32 wide receiver, maybe on his last run. Matt Ryan's older. Kyle Pitts. And this is just my opinion on Kyle Pitts. We've talked about Kyle Pitts a ton on this channel. He is not the guy that y'all think he is. He would excel in a situation where he doesn't have to be the primary focus. Then he gets those mismatches. But if you're telling me that you're getting rid of Julio and going to make Kyle Pitts your number one guy, again, good luck with that. Yeah, good luck with that. At number 4, they drafted at number 4. There were other wide receivers you could have took. We're not keeping Depot. Yeah, I think he is like a free agent after this year. That makes sense. Seriously, did y'all really think LeBron was going to lay down in game 2 against the Suns? No, I didn't. AD is the one that won that game, though. When AD plays good, the Lakers win. And it doesn't help that Chris Paul can't see. Chris Paul gets hurt every single playoffs. And the Knicks just tied it up. Let's go. New York basketball's in the building. 72-72. Come on. We win this game, man. With Randall playing like hot garbage. Come on. Pitts is still the third option. Who's the first 2? Falcons on my team, but I watched the Rams more last year. I'm actually excited to watch the Rams this year. And I'm excited to watch the Chargers. Both of those LA teams, I'm excited to watch. In the end, years down the line, Waddle will be the best wide receiver coming out of the draft. Pitts, man, stop. See that? Okay, we're done. We're done talking about the Falcons. We were good until he just said that. This man, Megatron, was 6'6", 230, and ran a 4.3. Stop. Okay. Anyway, we're not even going to do that. We're not doing this. We're not doing this today. Do I think Randall gets We're not talking. I'm not talking no more Falcons after that one. New York stand up. New York stand up. And we just took the lead. Let's go. Go Bucks. Absolutely go Bucks. I always root for the 8-1-3. And do you think Randall gets the max? I think one more. If Randall plays like he did, first of all, he's got to play better in these playoffs. But if he plays next year like he played this year, I would give him the max. Is LeBron the GOAT? No, he's the best player of his generation, but the GOAT, no. You can't be the GOAT and lose the way he lost against that Dallas team. That of all the things that happened in LeBron's career, and I respect LeBron, but that Dallas series with LeBron James, to me, cancels any GOAT debate. It cancels any GOAT debate you have ends when you talk about LeBron losing with that Miami team to Dirk Nowitzki, a 40-year-old Jason Kidd, and your third best player was Jason Terry and JJ Barrera. The GOAT conversation's over. How does LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh lose to that team? The GOAT debate is over. Now that Wilder and Fury must fight, I'm ready to go. Got my money. Man, you already know. The Bronze Bomber's in the back. I want it. Thank you, Wayne. Tired of this hype of this drug addict. I'm not going to get too much down on Fury because I like Fury's boxing ability. But you're talking about a guy who's who's been a steroid cheat multiple times. Hope Wilder gets him out of there. LeBron has lost 6 NBA finals. The GOAT is MJ. Stop, please. Put it to bed. Pitt's going to be open every time you snap it too fast for a linebacker. Okay, we'll see. We act like we didn't watch Vernon Davis, but we'll see. We'll see what Pitts does. LOL. I just love getting y'all basketball guys all riled up. GOAT debate was never open. I agree with you, John. I don't think it was ever really a debate, but one thing I'll say about LeBron is he's got the numbers. Like LeBron's going to finish with insane numbers, but he's also playing in an era. It's like all these quarterbacks today who can throw for 5,000 yards. The game has opened up to the point where you score more points in both football and basketball. So LeBron's going to finish with all the numbers, though. That's his one. If there's one thing LeBron and his fans can grasp at to say he's the GOAT, he's going to be number 2 or number 1 in points. What? Top 10, top 5 in assists, probably. Top 10 he's going to have those numbers, man. He's going to have those numbers. Is it true that Bud was ducking Manny? You tell me, R. Davies. This is how you guys can tell we're getting to the end of the show. Because now we're talking about everything. But it's all good here. I ain't been on in a week or two, so it's all good. How did Earl get the fight with Manny Pacquiao? But Bud hasn't. Man, I've talked about this before when we talking about this boxing stuff. What is the deal that Bud Crawford can't fight one welterweight? The fight they're talking about for Bud, and I haven't seen Maiden Daden here, so I don't know if he's listening. But Bud, now they're talking about Bud fighting. And if you're a boxing fan, you'll know what I'm talking about. But Josh Taylor. Now, Josh Taylor just this past weekend became undisputed at 140. They're talking about Bud going back down to 140 for undisputed. LeBron lost me after Dallas series. We had no business losing. That's what I'm just saying. What is the most unbreakable sports record? I would need a list of them. What would be the most unbreakable sports record? I think talking football, while I think Randy Moss might be the GOAT, I think any of Jerry Rice's receiving records are probably unbreakable. Even in today's game, you still have to play. You're still going to have to play like 15, 20 years at wide receiver and be a 1,000-yard receiver in your late career. Like that, I don't know. Like even like in modern times, I got like Larry Fitzgerald has played a long time and been great. His numbers still don't come close to Jerry Rice's. In football terms, I think probably Jerry Rice's numbers. I think Jerry Rice's numbers just ain't attainable for even the modern day NFL receiver. If we're just talking football. Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game, I don't think we'll ever see that in the NBA. I don't think we'll ever see that. Because that would literally consist of one guy taking every shot, and NBA players ain't going for that. So, yeah, I don't think we'll ever see the 100-point game in NBA football. I don't think we'll ever see anybody come close to Jerry Rice's records. LeBron needs to send Ray Allen a check for that. No one will ever score 100 again. Right. Bobby Bowden's 14 consecutive. There you go. College football. There you go. Yes, LeBron blew it against Dallas, but he did put Cleveland on his back and bring them back for a 3-1. He did. Absolutely, he did. Is Jake Paul? Yeah, I think Jake Paul, they still fighting Floyd. Cy Young's 511 wins. A college football team winning 47 straight games like Oklahoma and 54 home game winning streak like Miami. TTY says the Miami home game record. No pitcher will ever go 300 again, much less 511. So there's some records out there, yeah, that are just gonna be tough to break. So I agree with most of you guys. Yeah, I don't. Especially like the 47 straight games. Yeah. Like Oklahoma, that won't happen. That won't happen. In my opinion, there are some insane baseball records. Cy Young is my pick, or Cal Ripken's. Yeah. Yeah, the baseball records are crazy. That's what I'm saying. The baseball records. Isn't Barry Bonds is the all-time home run king, right? I don't know. Will we ever see that one get broken again? Who knows? Who knows? Let's check on the game. 76-75. Well, that's all we got today, guys. So unless you guys got more questions, we're going to cut this one. My fave coach, Shula's 347 wins. Belichick has been with the past 21 years and isn't even close. And that's what I'm saying. Like, some of these records are just unattainable. What they need to do is give Bobby Bowden his wins back from that scandal. I think they took like 12 games from Bowden after that academic scandal that involved the entire sports program, not just the football team. Bowden deserves those wins back. I'm not like Nick Saban has how many won like 10 games a year the last 10 years, and is he even close to Bobby Bowden's all-time record? And Bobby Bowden has a record even with the games being taken away from him. So there you go. The Dolphins undefeated season. I think we will see another undefeated team in the NFL. I don't think that is unbreakable, Cain Zay. It stood for a long time. Yes. I could see that one being broken, though. There are more home runs hit today than ever before in baseball. I think it will get broken if you even count Bonds' record. Let me tell you why. Because this is another conversation, but this is why I count Barry Bonds' record. Because we found out guys like Roger Clements was using steroids. So we find out the pitchers of that era were using roids, and then you find out the hitters were using steroids. In my opinion, the playing field was even. When you're talking about to me, the problem with baseball in that era was everybody was doing it. And then people that we don't know that were doing it, like how many people did they find that were ended up being on roids. That, I mean, if you want to put an asterisk up by the entire era, then okay. But we found out like almost everybody in the era was doing it. The only person that we know for a fact that wasn't doing it was Ken Griffey. And injuries derailed Ken Griffey. The sweetest swing in maybe in the history of baseball, Ken Griffey Jr. That's a guy that if injury doesn't get him, you know, you might be talking about the greatest baseball player ever. You know, UNC cheats did much worse, and they got a slap on the wrist. What up, POLK, Kyle Ripkins? Hey, William, I'm there, man. Those like you said, those baseball records are ridiculous. Bill Belichick has 311 victories. He will break Shula's record. POLK, does the football stadium deserve remodel with losing? Yeah, it deserves remodel. Anytime you have a chance to upgrade the facilities, it deserves to be upgraded. Winning, losing doesn't matter. What up, Chad? Everyone was using Roos, and plus you still have to hit the damn ball. I agree, Ardavius. Pitchers are better than ever too, but I think they may end up pushing the mound back. I could see that. I've heard that one, Tyler, with the natural evolution of the human being. It might be better to start pushing the mound back. Leave Barry Bonds alone. He got the record. Indiana's undefeated college baseball team, 76, has stood almost 50 years. Nobody will ever go 4 straight Super Bowls and lose. What, like the Bills? I don't know if that's a record you want to have. I mean, the Eagles were close. Didn't the Eagles go to 4 straight like NFC championships and lose or something like that? So the Eagles were close. The Eagles were close. Yeah, that's it. So, oh, shoot, hit the mic. Another good show. Oh, hold on. I'll answer this one more question. I'll read Tyler's comment where he says all baseball records require a 20-year plus career and peak performance, and even then they're unbreakable. You're absolutely right about that, Tyler. Antonio says over or under 7 wins if we get Madden. I still can't predict it, bro. I'll tell you this. What I will answer for you, Antonio, I will say over. If we land Madden, I will say that this offense averages over 35 points per game. I'll say that. I will say that. But as far as wins go, I can't. The defense scares me. I'm not going to lie to you. The defense scares me. That's just the truth. The defense scares me. Yeah, I can see somebody maybe breaking that. Damn, Jameis. I love him too, but man. Yeah, when we talked about that Sooners, yeah, that'd probably never be broken in college football. But that's all we got tonight. I'm going to watch the end of this next game. We are winning 81-78, so we came back. Hopefully, we can close this out. We can tie this series 1-1, even with Julius Randle playing like straight garbage water and hot dog water. We're going to finish this out. If we can score in the second half of a 35-point, should be cake. Who's Belichick going to break Shula's record with? Mac Brown? I don't see it. So we're going to close it out here, man. Thanks, everybody who tuned in. Hit that like button on your way out if you didn't hit it on the way in. I might try to hit one more video up before I go on vacation in June. I will be in Florida for the entire month of June. So we'll see. And I'll be doing stuff periodically while I'm on vacation anyway. So it's not like you guys are going to miss me too much. But it's your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles. And we at you. And go New York basketball, baby. And the Lakers are trash. They will not repeat. That's right, T2I. I said it. Y'all have a good night.